What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to JohnnyKpicks. And yes, I am wearing a flamingo shirt, but that is neither here or there. I am here to go over all my bets so far for UFC 275, Teixeira versus Prochazka. Before I get started, please hit that like button, make friends with that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos or live streams. So UFC Vegas 56 was last weekend, and it ended up turning out to be a pretty good card. Had lots of finishes, but I ended up going only 3-5 on my bets, and I lost 0.05 units. So technically, I guess you can say it was a losing night, but I will take those kinds of losing nights any day of the week than rather losing like 10 or 11 units. But after looking back at my bets, a lot of them were ruined by the women's fights. All three of them actually finished under 2.5 rounds, and usually that never happens. They usually go to decision. There might be one or two, but it was just a weird coincidence that happened. But you know what? We're going to get back on track this week. So without further ado, let's get to my bet so far for UFC 275. The first bet I have is an underdog bet. I bet 1 unit on Liang to win, and I got that at plus 140. First off, I have no idea why Gomez Juarez is the favorite here, and I really don't know why she's that big of a favorite. I personally think the line should be reversed because the last two fights that Gomez Juarez fought in, she lost by first round submission and didn't look that great. But she is a pretty good striker and she does have some good power, but her big red flag is she has zero ground game. And with Liang, she has good takedowns, she has really good submissions, with numerous first round submissions, mind you. And to me, this is kind of a no-brainer bet for an underdog play because I can totally see Liang getting a takedown in the first round and submitting Gomez Juarez shortly after this. So I really like Liang at plus 140. The next bet I have is an under bet. I bet 1 unit on the under 1.5 rounds in the Gomez Juarez Liang fight, and I got that at plus 120. So this bet kind of goes with my first bet that I talked about because Liang just needs one takedown here, and I really think she'll be able to submit Gomez Juarez in the first round. Gomez Juarez in her last 2 fights in the UFC, she lost by armbar in the first round. But if you want to look at it on the different side, Gomez Juarez does have good power and she could knock out Liang too, especially if Liang gasses herself out like she did against Carnelossi. But either way you want to look at it, I like the under 1.5 here. I don't think this fight's getting out of the first round. The third bet I have is an over-under parlay. I bet 1.25 units on the over 2.5 rounds in the Wei Li Joanna fight and the over 2.5 rounds in the Pasquale Edwards fight, and I got that at plus 105. So as I mentioned earlier, in the last card, all the women's fights last week ended under 2.5 rounds, and I don't see that happening this week. So I'm going to go back to the well, and I really like both these fights to go the distance. So the Wei Li Joanna fight's going to be super fun to watch. They're both really tough, and if Wei Li uses her wrestling, which I think she will, that's just going to kill some time off the clock. And like I said, I just don't see a finish between these two fighters. I think it's going to be a really close fight again, just like the first one, and it should go over 2.5 rounds. And in the Pasquale Edwards fight, both fighters are also tough too, and I don't think Pasquale will be able to knock out or submit Edwards. And if Pasquale wants to use her wrestling, it's just going to kill more time off the clock. And also, Pasquale just fought Josiane Nunes, and she did go to decision with her, and she got cracked a few times, and Nunes does hit hard, so I don't see any finish in this fight, so I do think it'll go over 2.5 rounds as well. The next bet I have is a 2-fighter parlay. I bet 1 unit on Garcia and Yuri to win, and I got that at plus 148. So first things first, this is my gut bet of the week. I did one last week, very last minute, and it ended up hitting, so I'm just going to go with my gut on these two. But with Garcia, I think he's going to be the more well-rounded fighter. He's fought the better competition, and he has more experience. Machati is super young, and he does have some potential, but he's just too low volume, and he's too hittable for me to pick. So I think he's going to have some trouble with Garcia, and Garcia should be able to outpoint him. And with Yuri, I know this is just going to be a coin flip, but I do think Yuri is going to be able to catch Glover eventually. I don't think he's going to be as aggressive as he usually is, but he is going to have the 4-inch reach advantage. And if he can just stay at range and control his wildness a bit, I think he can stuff the takedowns and potentially get a knockout, maybe late in the first or second round. The next bet I have is another 2-fighter parlay. I bet 1 unit on Wei Li and Cape to win, and I got that at plus 131. So like I said, I know the Wei Li Joanna fight's going to be really close, but I think Wei Li is going to have the clear advantage in the wrestling department, and I think that should be her game plan in this fight. And if she's able to get Joanna down a couple times, in different rounds, I think she should be able to cruise to an easy decision win. But if the fight stays on the feet, it's going to be super close and I'll be sweating this one, but I still like Weili's chances overall. And with Cape, he's going to have the better striking, and he does have decent wrestling if he wants to use it. But Bontarin's going to probably want to get this fight to the mat because he's not that great of a striker, and he doesn't throw a lot of volume on the feet. Also, Bontarin does tend to fade as the fight goes on, so if Cape can keep this on the feet, I think he'll be able to piece up Bontarin and maybe get a late round finish. And the last bet I have is a straight bet. I bet 1.5 units on Della Maddalena to win, and I got that at minus 130. So I know a lot of people are on Ameev here, but I just don't see it. Ameev does have good wrestling, but his cardio fades as the fight goes on. And on the feet, Della Maddalena is going to have the clear advantage, and he just needs one shot because he has that much power in his hands, and he has really good boxing. So if he's able to negate the early takedowns in the first and maybe second round, I do see him getting a late round finish, maybe late in the second or third round. All right, guys, so those are my bets so far for UFC 275. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't on your way out. Also, don't forget to check back on this video in the comment section or on my Instagram for any added bets throughout the week. Good luck to everybody who's betting, and until next time, happy fight night.